Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you are bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cool beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that's been Indiana-free for 11 episodes. I'm your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. And Kidder, this is normally where I'd ask you how you're doing this week, but we have a guest on. And
you don't want to ask me?
For us to... I'm going to get to it. I'm introducing the guest.
You're introducing the guest. You didn't want me to be able to mention that I have been Indiana free since 2001? I felt that was an important related fact.
I didn't know this was a contest in that regard.
Well, it's not a contest. I just, bringing it up because of certain reasons. So I just wanted to share that. But you are correct. We do have an esteemed guest on the show. This is, I would say, our first actual legitimate guest on the show. But he's not even just like a guest of the show, because he knows more about the show probably than we do, because we've already forgotten about all of the bad episodes that we have put out. So, do you want to introduce him? Because you were already halfway there.
Oh, no, listen, you already interrupted the thunder. You might as well do it, man.
Well, you know how much I am the king of convection, so I must bring the thunder, lightning, and everything else. It's our friend, the local geek and brewer extraordinaire. Welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
It's good to have you along for the show, and we understand that you have enjoyed this show for some demented reason.
I have. It's been rather enjoyable to watch you guys.
So what, just search for a little, pandering here for some good comments. Could you tell us what your favorite thing about the show is?
My favorite thing is actually watching the two of you banter back and forth like you just did at the intro here.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show. And more importantly, thank you for checking out this dumpster fire of a waste of internet megabytes and gigabytes. So, what? It felt like the right thing to say. You're looking at me funny, Jake.
Well, did you have a bad day? Huh? You're just so negative. Listen, if anybody here has a reason maybe to be cranky,
here it comes.
Oh.
Here it comes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kidder. Tell us about your day.
Well, I wasn't going to tell.
How you doing?
I wasn't going to tell us about my day. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm sitting here watching the Minnesota Mild and the Las Vegas Golden Knights to see who the Avalanche face on Sunday in the second round. And now the score is 1-1 with 3 minutes left in the first. So I'm feeling negative because I have to watch this dumpster fire. I mean, I don't have to. I could shut it off and then wait for the score, but I feel like I need something to yell at.
Hey,
so what about
Parisi's back in the lineup?
He is. He's the one who's just scored the goal for Minnesota
Good.
with
Go
assists from
Breezy.
Eriksson Ek and Suter. So there you go. What about your day there, Jake? I mean, it's not like we have a guest or anything.
Well, kidder, I just got done with day 2 of driving around the state. So I spent 12 hours driving a 15-passenger van all the way around, well, most of the state today. All the way up to Devil's Lake, down to Fort Abercrombie, and then all the way back.
In
So,
the
12 hours in the
lakes
car.
of North Dakota and the plains of Medora.
And because this was a North Dakota state fleet vehicle, very low on all of the options. So couldn't plug like my iPod in to listen to things. So I had to listen to radio the entire time. So while you are suffering through that game, man, all I listened to for the most part was sports radio about this game that you're watching. Mm-hmm. And it's all Minnesota sports radio. So do you know how biased that was?
I bet we could find out from Anthony LaPanta. It's going to check this out for the Minnesota Wild. Oh, this is such a sweet team.
It was, Kidder, to the point where, like, one show they had apparently done predictions, like, hey, in 60 days, here's what's going to happen. And one of the guys' 60-day prediction was thinking about how the Minnesota Wild have just beaten the Colorado Avs in the first round of the playoffs. That was his prediction, and I'm just like, well, for one thing, the Avs are ranked higher.
Wrong.
But two, yeah, if they're going to play, it'll be in the second round. So anyway,
Wrong.
I've been doing a lot of driving. Forced to listen to a lot of radio, which I don't enjoy. Although, Kidder, I had the best double placement of an ad today while I was driving. Literally, this ad came on for a lawyer, and I didn't catch the name, but it was like, "Hi, I'm John Doe. If you've ever been pulled over for a DUI and had a machine tell you that you were over the limit, give me a call and I'll defend you." The very next ad, that's exactly kind of how the ad ends. The very next ad that followed, "Hi, we here at Happy Harry's are having a liquor sale." It was the
Perfect.
best little just back and forth. So that was my day, driving around the state. It was my second day in a row. I've driven over 1,000 miles in 2 days. Probably spent about 18 hours in a car. So that was my 2 days.
He's all like, "I've been everywhere, man." I'd sing more, but then we'd have to pay royalties for it.
Yeah. So, Kidder, now that we have competed in who's had the worst day, I think, as tradition with any guest we've had on the show, we need to learn a little bit more about who Local Geek is. Well, at least you and I don't need to learn more, but our audience might want to know, who is this guy? How does he know these two guys? Where's the connection?
Let's go way, way, way back in the Wayback Machine, if you would. Just tell us, Derek, the Local Geek. Tell us.
Well, it goes way, way, way back to when we were all in high school. I went to school with both of these guys. And Kidder typically would give me a ride home after school, which there's a whole nother story there that we can tell, or we can save it for later. But
you go right ahead and tell whatever you want to tell. This is your shining moment on the Triple B.
So one of those days, he's giving me a ride home. I don't remember the exact situation that caused it, but he turned onto the street that my parents lived on, which is at the top of a hill. And when he turned, his car turned sideways and slid down the hill, and it stopped exactly in front of my parents' driveway. So he was able to just go straight forward into the driveway without turning. And then my mom asked me who my friend who drives sideways down the street is.
That's where I learned. It must have been those nights of watching NASCAR at your place, Jake, because just the crashing part. But we didn't really crash. We just turned
No.
and then it was a good half block of
It was.
sliding sideways, just like this. Stop. Oh, here's your driveway. Straight into the driveway. It's great.
It was perfectly planned.
It's perfect. Perfect. So aside from my driving skills or lack thereof, tell us more about you and our show here, or us. Whatever you want it. You got the microphone. It's right by your face. Go ahead.
Sounds good. So yeah, I've known these guys for quite a while. We've variously spent time in different cities apart from each other, but kind of kept in touch, and we've all ended up back in the Bismarck area and hang out when it's possible. Everybody's schedules are kind of hard to get together, so I myself have a wife and a son who's just a little bit older than Howie's boy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I was gonna say, Derek, you're probably the reason that I ended up passing computer programming, because the three of us all did take computer programming and
both of
yeah.
us.
And it's one of those things, because in high school I thought computer programming, that's what I want to do. That's the job. And then I actually took the class and I was like, this is terrible. I could always kind of solve like the problem of creating the program. I was terrible at what I'd call the proofreading. So like if my program didn't work out, I was not going to be the person to tell you why it didn't work out. So
you figured it out
thankfully
more quickly than me. I went to college with the idea I was going to go into programming, and after the first year, I decided, you know what? I like programming, but I don't like it well enough that I want to do it 8 hours a day.
Yeah. Gotta love those share drives of finding some information that has been left open for the public to be able to finish certain equations or whatnot. The statute of limitations is up. We're fine. It's fine.
I was trying to remember, because I knew that we'd probably bring that class up at some point. I was trying to remember the name of the teacher who taught that class.
That one, Mrs. Sowers?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking it was.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Derek, I don't know if you know this. Kidder knows it. But because I moved to Bismarck in high school.
I love this story.
He does love this. I was a very jaded high school student because I grew up in a different state. I very much looked at it as like, I'm just going to get in and get out. So I don't remember a lot of people. And I have to keep apologizing for that. Because I keep running into people who are like, oh, hey, we went to high school together. And I'm like, I don't remember you. But Sowers was one of the few teachers that I ever kind of mouthed off to. Because she came in one day and was just so boastful that for spring break, she was going on a cruise. And I don't know if you remember this, Derek, but I asked her,
do.
I asked her if it was Alaskan or Caribbean. And she said Caribbean. And I, without missing a beat, said, damn, no icebergs. I don't think she really appreciated that. So
we all did.
So
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or when then I changed her desktop wallpaper to a picture of Godzilla sinking the Titanic.
I don't remember that one. I do remember changing several of the computer wallpapers to be a screenshot of the wallpaper and then hiding the icons.
Yes. I love it. I remember disabling the what was the software called, like deep freeze or something, because then you can do whatever you want to the computer, but if you reboot it, then it just goes back to its normal state. So I remember disabling the software so then it wouldn't reinstate itself when you reboot it. And then like what was popular, the LimeWire or some of the other distribution softwares out there, get some songs to listen to. And of course, I didn't have fancy headphones like I do now, so I was listening to the music, and it had to be loud enough so then it could drown out all these stupid questions and the answers and whatnot. But everybody else around me could also hear what I was listening to. Like, hey, your music's too loud. Huh? Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just listening to too many good tunes back in the day. So
Still do.
yeah, that's why I'm, quarter deaf, I'm sure. So yeah, we've had a lot of shenanigans along the way, computer programming, stunt driving, shooting, sushi, all kinds of the important things in life. So
Exactly.
now you are a well-known local brewer as well.
I don't know if I'd say well known, but
Well, we know you, so you're well known.
okay. Well, now your audience knows it. So.
Yes, you and the other 8
Yeah.
people watching now know you. So glad we could introduce you to yourself.
I hate to tell you, kid, we're still really big in South Dakota. There's like 17 people who follow us.
17?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. The only thing South Dakota's really good for is driving through.
Watch it, buddy. Watch
Sorry, I had the privilege of being born in the better of the 2 Dakotas. So
You can think that.
So back to the brewing, because I have 2 wonderful selections here provided by our friend Local Geek from his master brewing. And the only way that we're able to discern is the fancy caps on the top there. So I'm starting to get thirsty, and maybe that's also why I'm angry. And my James Hetfield Metallica glass is clearly empty, so we need to fix that. So tell us about your endeavors, your hopes and dreams, and everything with brewing. What's it all about? What do you have going on in the background there? Because I see that you got some stuff there.
Well, I actually don't have anything currently brewing, but I don't know if you can see it down there. My glass fermenter sitting empty at the moment. I do have a Scottish ale I'm contemplating starting brewing here in the near future.
Aye. Does it come in pints? That's the important question.
It'll come in any size up to 5 gallons.
Sweet. Well, I'm sure that the guy on that end and this guy are going to want to have a day. So whatever, if you want to share. That's
Of course, I'll certainly share some once I get it done. But right now I'm working on the one you've got there with the silver cap. I call it the Luna Azul, hence the LA at the top.
All right. Are we supposed to open this now? I mean, you're drinking.
You certainly
it.
can. I started it already. So.
Yeah. I see how it is.
I was very creative with my naming of this one. It's a clone of Blue Moon's traditional. So Luna Azul is Blue Moon in Spanish.
Oh, Azul. So here's the question, and he gave me a quick tip there, Howie, to get a glass to pour it into, because go ahead and explain that portion.
I don't know if you can kind of see at the bottom of this bottle here. There's a little bit of sediment down there. It's just what's settled out of the beer after I bottled it, because I carbonated in the bottles. So basically what it does is you add a little bit of sugar to the bottle, and then the leftover yeast in the beer will eat that sugar, creating a CO2 to pressurize it. So that's what's in the bottom there, is basically the dead yeast cells that ate that sugar. It's perfectly fine if you do drink it. I personally prefer to pour it into a glass so that I don't have that kind of weird texture at the end.
Fair enough. So the next question for you then, are before we open it, are we supposed to do the old rolling thing and mix it up a little bit or anything, or just pop it open, pour it, and ready to roll?
Pop it open and pour it.
All right. I think you also saw that. it's a life preserver. You saw that? Okay. Just happened to have it up there. So, all right, there we go. Tell us a little bit more about this wonderful brew that we have here.
So
Yes, please stall while Howard gets a glass because somebody didn't pass that information on to him.
It was a day.
Yes, I was late in providing that information. I had that thought in the shower yesterday morning.
I'll be back.
That's where all the important thoughts happen, I think. And I'll have a cap somewhere around here, so I'll figure that out before we get too far along. But nice head on this. So wonderful. Look at the color.
I'm very happy with the color of this one.
Try and hold it up for everybody to see, and James Hetfield and all the Metallica glory. I mean, look at that.
And this one clocked in right around 4% alcohol, so it's a light drinker. You can have several of them before you start to feel it.
So I know that you've watched the show, and since he's not here to defend himself, I want to make sure that you know and remember that my co-host, of course, likes to drink slow. So I'm wondering if we're going to have this show be like 2.5 or 3 hours, so then he can drink both of these beers while we're doing this. But yeah, awesome. So around 4% for the final liquor total, and
yep,
there I see what you're talking about. Got a little bit down at the bottom, but
yeah, it's not too much, but it's definitely something that you would notice and maybe be weirded out by if you weren't aware it was going to be there. So
weirded out. Okay, well, I wouldn't say that I'll be weirded out. You know, I like the unfiltered beers just the same as I like the filtered beers. Just depends on the flavoring of the beer.
Exactly. So, a good beer is a good beer.
I see where you have the certain Lining Kugel's aroma there, and it's got a similar taste. So let's give it the old taste.
And this one doesn't have decaffeinated coffee in it like that Blue Moon you were drinking last week, Howie. So
that's good.
He looked shocked. He's like, "What? I demand coffee."
Took me a little bit longer to get a glass. Howie Jr. had to come up and say goodnight again.
Oh, I gotcha. Well,
yeah. You can never tell them goodnight too many times when they want it, right?
Right. I mean, he definitely went through a bit of a phase where definitely he preferred mom over me. But the last few days, he's kind of decided, you know what? Dad's pretty good. So, yeah, he's got a set of cards for the game match. You know, everybody knows matching. Anyway, for the longest time, he's always carried around the card that is my dad with a puppy because there's a puppy on it. But the last few days, in fact, even when I came home tonight, he had the card with me on it and was carrying it around. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll take it. Small victory.
It was interesting that you would bring this this beer to us, because I think, you know, Howie's take on fruit and beer, not quite a mixture, but I, as we're coming up on summer, do enjoy the summer shandy type beverages. I don't really classify them as fruit and beer.
I was actually a little surprised. This one came out a little more orangey than I was anticipating, but it's not a bad flavor. I was going for more of a subtle flavor, and it came out a little bolder, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I do like bold flavoring. I'm working on getting my tasting. I'm going to need to have a few more sips here to check it out. And
that's part of the reason I suggested starting with this one as well. Is it's going to be the lighter of the two beers. The other one's a stout, so that one's going to have a stronger flavor, and this one will be a little easier on the palate to start with and not cover up flavors you'll get from the other one probably.
No. I like it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
You're a good brewer.
I'm still learning my system, so I just actually, it's the second beer I've brewed on this system. The first one is the other one that you guys have, so. But I bought that from a guy in Fargo. He was selling all of his brewing equipment, and I ended up getting a steal on it, so I couldn't pass it up. I had previously been doing everything out of beer kits, which typically require you to boil like 2 gallons of water and then mix everything to it. And now I do the full 5 gallons of... Actually, I start with like 6 gallons of water before it boils off, but I've got a 15-gallon kettle that I can cook it all in. So,
while we're enjoying this tasty beverage, go through the process. Like, how do you, from the start, because I know that you pick a flavor, like which batch you want, and then after you decide, okay, I want something like this, just walk us through the whole process.
Okay, so what I usually do is I do a little searching on the internet for an idea, at least for the style that I'm doing, to get a base recipe, and then I'll tweak it to how I feel I might want mine. If I want it to be a stronger alcohol or lighter alcohol or a different flavor profile from the hops or grains, I'll swap out some stuff. When it comes to the brew day, first thing, of course, is clean everything. Everything has to be sterile. So I'll wash everything. I'll start heating my water up. The initial temperature I shoot for is going to be between 150 and 170, depending upon the style I'm making. Once I hit that, I have a cooler that I converted to be what's called a mash tun. So I'll put my grain in that cooler in a mesh bag, kind of like steeping a tea essentially, but on a much larger scale. Usually it's about 10 to 15 pounds of grain. And then I'll put that 150 to 170 degree water into that cooler, put the lid on it for about an hour or so, let it just kind of steep in there, and that's the mashing process. After that hour's passed, I'll transfer it back into that kettle. I'll bring the water up, or what's now called wort, up to a boil. Once it starts boiling, that's typically where you'll start adding hops, or in the case of this one, orange peels and coriander. And the hops can be added at various phases throughout the boil. Adding it right at the beginning of the boil is fairly common. And then if you want to really pull out that bitterness from the hops, you'll add it towards the end of the boil or in the middle. Sometimes you'll even have it added after it's been cooled down. And that's where you're going to get your super strong IPAs. They're usually added after it's even cooled. So then once I boil it, it boils about an hour. I'll transfer it over to my fermenter, cool it down to around 70 degrees, and then put the yeast into it. Once I've done that, I'll take before I put the yeast in, I'll take a gravity reading, which will tell me what amount of sugar is in there, essentially. And then before I bottle it, I take another gravity reading, and there's a formula you do with those two numbers that'll bring you your alcohol content at the end. And then when I go to bottle it, as I was saying with the carbonation, I put about a cup of basically a simple syrup, some sugar and water that had been boiled, so it's sterile. Put that into the bucket that I used to bottle it with. And then I'll fill the bottles up, put the caps on, and then I let them sit for about 2 weeks at room temperature. And then once they're carbonated up, they should be good to go. I'll pop a couple in the fridge, try them out, make sure they're good, and then I'll start sharing them with my friends.
Very cool. So the whole process from your start of, okay, I've gathered the materials, to grabbing the bottle and popping it to put it in a glass, it depends on each batch or what you're making.
Yeah, the typical process of actually making the wort before you get it ready to ferment takes about, probably I'd say 3 to 4 hours. And then it needs to sit for usually about 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, depending upon how active your yeast is. And then it'll sit in the bottles once you bottle it another 2 weeks. So usually 3 to 4 weeks.
Sorry, I thought somebody was mad that they didn't get a beer for a second. The heavens are opening up over Howie Blues. Howie Blues, you did not share your alcohol.
And then I have done a secondary fermentation on a couple of them too, where once that initial week or 2 weeks, usually I do a week of fermentation when I do a secondary, just because I don't have to worry about it still fermenting afterwards, because it's going to be back in a fermenter anyway. So at that point usually is when I'll add like a fruited beer. So again, that stout that I've got for you guys, it's a blueberry stout. So I added the blueberries to it, and then I let it sit on those for another week.
Okay.
Not saying anything about the second one, but I'm now drinking this one a little bit slower.
Just a question here. Has that episode been released yet?
I'm thinking not.
Okay.
But I don't know which episode you're talking about. So.
We'll save that one for you for later then.
I think it has. Because I think that's in the one where we started talking about beer tastings, which...
Slowest beer drinker in the West?
That's what I'm thinking. But I've listened to them so many times that I'm starting to have problems keeping track of which episode was which.
I do listen to them at work, so I may have just missed part of it too. So.
Yeah.
I see. So you're going to have to go back and re-listen to all of them.
I will.
Yeah. No, Kidder and I have a history of a blueberry beer that was pretty bad. And I ended up having to pawn that one off on my dad and brother. So,
well, I hope you like this one a little bit better.
Hey, I'll give it a shot. So.
On the Triple B, we are always up for trying something. In fact, you are going to love the couple episodes ago when those are released. You're going to love those 2 weeks in a row. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're going to love them.
I'm looking forward to them.
So, because obviously I'm not quite involved into the whole brewing at home process, right? So I'm still trying to wrap my layman's term head around all of this, right? So I want to get let's just say I want to make like an amber ale. All right. So first thing, what do I need to go do?
Aside from getting all the equipment, which I mean, if you wanted to come over sometime and brew one with me, I'd be happy to have you over and do that too.
That sounds like a field trip for Triple B.
I was going to say it could be an episode right there.
I'm telling you that because beer is in the damn title, so we might as well figure out how the frick to do this.
But yeah, I mean, once you have the ingredients you need, pick everything out that you want for flavor profile off of it. If you want to add fruits or what have you to it, you could always do that.
Where do you typically get this stuff? So, like, whatever you decide on making, do you just order kits online? Do you go to Walmart and pick up twigs and berries, or what do you do?
You can get everything online. I do often get my hops and yeast online from either Amazon or a website called morebeer.com. There is also Vintner's Winery in town. Stocks some beer making stuff, but it's hit or miss on what they've got.
Shop local, folks.
And then I'm lucky enough that I'm a regular at Dialectic Brewing Company here in Mandan, that they are willing to sell me some grain once in a while to make my beer with that. So I usually don't have to worry about getting my hands on grain. I can get it from them.
Well, that's a nice perk. So that helps.
Yeah,
and of course, it's good quality.
Exactly. Yep. I was in their brewery from literally the day that they opened, their soft opening on May of 3 years ago now, until mid-July. I was in every day that they were open and had at least a pint. So I established a pretty good reputation. And in fact, I was their top customer of 2018, which is no surprise.
Good work. I mean, for a second, I'd say that you were an alcoholic, but I know you don't go to meetings, so perfect.
So, and part of that too related to my wife worked across the street at the Menden Depot Beer Hall when it was open. So I was like, well, she's going to be off work soon. I might as well go grab a beer at Dialectic across the street, and then she'll be off work, and we can just ride home together.
Which is definitely awesome, because I know that you're a safe traveler after consuming the beverages. So.
Yes, absolutely. I do not drink and drive.
All right. So we talked about the process of actually brewing and the process of figuring it out. And then you said about how much it makes. So when you actually want to go to bottle it in your 5-gallon batch, about how many bottles do you end up with at the end?
Right in the neighborhood of 50 bottles.
Oh man. Better like what you bake, right?
Yep, exactly. And to put that into perspective, my ingredients usually cost me right around $20. So 50 bottles for $20 isn't too bad.
That is a pretty good deal, yeah.
Now the equipment to get started,
Right.
I've got a few $100 invested in equipment, so it'll take a little while to make my money back on all that, but it'll happen over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said you've now made just the 2 batches with the equipment that you have, right?
Yep.
So I suppose me being as good at math that I am, I'd say you only need to brew another like 14 times or something like that, and you'll be good to go.
Right, exactly. And the nice thing is,
why are you shaking your head? I'm encouraging him to brew more beer.
Oh, it's not that. I just said some more work for future Howard, who, when he gets to this episode and is editing it, is now going to sit there and go, I got to sit here and do the math to figure it out so I can put an answer up.
It happens that there's graphics that we can, put on the screen and stuff like that. So he's going to be so pissed in 4 weeks.
Well, if you want, I can also send some pictures of the brewing process if you want to slap those in some places.
That would be awesome as well. And then we can use that as a tease for future
oh yeah,
Howard, Mark, and Derek in the episode of How To.
So, and also the nice thing with that
extra pictures.
That equipment cost we were talking about is I could use that same equipment to make like wines or meads and things like that, which is something I'm thinking about dabbling in, but haven't completely pulled the trigger yet. I've got the ingredients to make a mead, which I'd like to try, but I just haven't found the time.
Sure. Would the whether you make a mead or a wine, would that end up taking a little bit longer for that process? So then your equipment's out of commission for longer than 2 weeks, or
yeah, they do need to ferment longer.
Okay.
They take between a month and 6 weeks usually to ferment those. And then you'll still want to sit the bottles aside for usually like another 6 months or so to kind of age them a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that you need more equipment. That's what I'm hearing.
I do have 2 fermenters of my own, and my brother's got one at my house. So I do have extra fermenters.
Sounds like we could use your brothers and then make some beer as well. I'm just trying to help, right?
Yep.
Just trying to help all of us. Why are you laughing at me, Howie? Come on.
Because I can, and I will.
You're killing me. Also, interesting score update. The Minnesota Wild just scored again. It's now 2-2 with 15:25. They just put back up on the clock in the second period. So looks like maybe a barn burner tonight in Vegas. So hopefully it's like triple overtime, so then they're really tired. So it doesn't matter who plays the Avalanche on Sunday, and then we just wipe the walls with them. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, truthfully, I'm hoping that the Wild end up winning tonight.
So that we can crush their hopes. Crush. No,
mm-hmm. That's exactly it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, be good.
All right. So I finished my first. Is it time for the second, or do I need to wait?
I still got a
Is
little
that-
bit left.
Is that even halfway?
It's close.
No. No, it is not.
You
I
haven't
didn't
even
get to
been
give an
talking.
opinion of-
You haven't
Hey,
even been talking.
somebody hasn't let me get a word in edgewise.
I know.
haven't
I'm
even
trying
said-
to get you to drink. Damn it.
So I was going to say, because you mentioned that I don't tend to like fruit and beer. Well, I was going to say, this is actually, I'm enjoying this, okay? So I'm enjoying, I'm savoring it, you know?
So, Kidder,
Making
the
it
nice
last.
thing there, that other one's a stout, so they tend to drink a little bit better at warmer temperatures than most other beers.
Okay.
So if you let it sit there for a little bit longer, it shouldn't be considered warm and not good.
All right. I'll take your word for it. We'll see how it goes. So in the meantime, for the next hour, Jake drinks his beer. How did you get the local geek thing? Because for as long as I can remember, the old MSN Messenger days, it was local geek. The nickname, I think you even had a company or something at one point, or still do. I mean,
That was kind of where it started, was probably our senior year of high school. I got the idea in my head that maybe I'll try to start a computer repair company, and I'll call it Local Geek. So you can call on your local geek to come fix your stuff. So that was kind of where it came from. And then, of course, I realized that I don't really like working on computers directly for other people as much. So
Hey,
I do
speaking
still
of
do
which-
IT work, but I don't usually work on the computers themselves. So
and here your good brothers over here on Triple B were gonna make say that you could make a house call because our dinosaurs are chugging along here, and we haven't quite hit the royalty level of raking in the cash so that we can get new equipment.
hey, I'm right there with you. The computer I'm on was purchased in 2012. So
That's what this is.
my theory is if it works,
Mine's a little bit newer. It's 2013, so.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah. Easy, Mr. Technology. Calm down.
Well, I got this one when I went back to school, so yeah, worked out pretty well. But it's definitely showing its age. So,
And I wish I could show you guys my screen on this one because my cat knocked it off the shelf several years ago. The screen has a big crack on the side of it, and it was one of the first touchscreen computers when it first came out. And of course, when the screen
Mine
cracked,
too.
the touchscreen, of course, went funky. And I was completely unable to use it at that time. I ended up having to use TeamViewer to go into it on my phone, disable the local mouse, which would disable the touch, and then manually go in and disable the drivers for the touch screen.
Wonderful.
See, and I wouldn't even have thought to do that. So
It took me several days to figure out that I could disable the mouse with TeamViewer. And thankfully, I already had it installed.
I was just going to say, at least you had that on your computer, because otherwise it just would have been a brick.
Yeah, it would have, because I couldn't even take my password to log in because where it was touching on the screen would take the cursor out of the password field.
Wonderful.
Well, no, that reminds me. I had a high school student who was working for me when I worked at the science center, and she was a very smart kid. And for one summer, she went to Stanford for one of the summer camps. So here she is at this prestigious college and such. And when she came back, I was talking to her. I'm like, "Oh, how was it? How was the experience? How was this?" And she goes, "Well, it was good." She goes, "But I learned a new skill." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what was it?" She goes, "Well, my phone got stolen while I was there." Like, "Oh, well, that's sad." She goes, "Yeah, but I learned how to hack into my own phone." And so she hacked her own phone, which had been stolen, used the camera to take a picture of the person who stole it, and then a couple days later actually identified him. He was the busboy in the cafeteria and called the police and got her phone back.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things. She's at this, school doing, kind of summer camp, but very much for super smart kids. And this is what she did in her free time, was research how to hack her own phone so she could get it back. I mean, I told her, I said, remind me never to tick you off. So, well,
Seriously.
Derek, since we have you on here, and it has been a while since I've gotten to see you, I know for a while you were in a board game group that was meeting locally, and I joined a couple of times. And unfortunately, then my job got really busy and hard for me to keep up. But I was curious. I know with the global pandemic, a lot of those sorts of groups and things died down. But I was curious if you've been able to get any board games to the table, or if that has kind of died down for you over all of this.
It's pretty well died down, and then having a kid that's very young didn't help either, as you know. But we have gotten a couple games out and played them. For Christmas, we actually got a whole bunch of board games that haven't even been opened yet, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll get to open them up soon and play with some friends.
Yeah, I got a couple of those in my collection too. So it's kind of sad. I haven't really gotten to play board games now for a while, especially since we've been trying to sell our place. In fact, my entire collection is gone. It's being stored elsewhere. So it's not like I can if I want to.
Yeah, we moved a lot of
place,
ours.
Skinner, so
I know.
We had to move a lot of ours to the basement and just kept the ones upstairs that we knew we were more apt to play. And so we've got maybe a half a dozen or so upstairs, and the rest are all downstairs now.
Yeah. No, in fact, it was my father-in-law's birthday last weekend. And by the time we all got together for that and such, and usually we play games and such, but it was so late. And Junior was kind of cranky, so we only played a short one. So we played one round of Bang the Dice game. And it's like, okay, well, we got to go. So hoping to get together with them sometime this weekend and maybe play a game or two. So, but I've been missing it too, trying to sell our house and having to basically pack up and send my collection away. And of course, having a kid.
Yeah.
That kind of slows down the game playing quite a bit. So,
yeah. And what's really unfortunate for us is we were playing a game of Betrayal Legacy. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I am.
But we were about halfway through the game when the pandemic started. So we're still halfway through it because the people we play with and us too, we're obviously trying to keep our social distance. And so we haven't been able to pick it up. And unfortunately, one of those guys is moving to Portland in about a month. So well, we're going to try to play remotely with him still. But Betrayal's kind of an interesting one for that if he needs to read the trader rules by himself and he's not at the table with the book.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, what is your take on the whole legacy game thing? Because I don't know about you. For me, it's just not an appealing thing. For those in the audience who maybe don't play board games, or in this case, Kidder, legacy style games are usually a game that you play through several times, but as you do, you unlock different things where you might have to open a envelope that has been sealed, or rip up a card, or stick stickers on the board, things like that. And it tends to change the game as you play through. And because of that, it tends to be kind of a one-time experience. So I don't know about you, Derek. It sounds like at least you're playing one. I haven't, but I have a hard time with that concept of ripping up cards and things like that. So that's my take. But
this is the first legacy game I've actually really played. But the nice thing with this one is once you finish the legacy version, it's still fully playable, just like Betrayal at House on the Hill would be. Just the house is built with that backstory that you now have on it from playing the legacy version. But there's still a scenario book that you can randomly happen on a scenario playing it throughout that you haven't run into before.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's always been my two things against it. One is the fact that you alter the game and it changes permanently. The second is I just don't really have a group of people that are that committed to playing through like a campaign.
Right.
So
Yep.
for me, I'd only probably ever get to like the first mission, and then it's like, oh, we've altered the board, and then it would probably be months before I ever got it to the table again, and then it's like probably with a new crew, and it's like,
Yep. And that requires some
can't
dedication
really
to get a
start
group
over.
together.
Right. I mean, and most of the time, the people that I right now I'm gaming with are my family, my in-laws. I've got them all hooked to board games, so we play quite frequently. I still haven't convinced Kidder to really give it a shot, but I'm hoping to keep working on him one of these days.
Good
I'll convert
luck, everybody else.
So Derek, let's just go before pandemic. What was your favorite board game kind of going kind of into the pandemic when you were able to play on a more regular basis?
I think my favorite all-time board game is Betrayal at House on the Hill. But going into the pandemic, the one that I probably wanted to play the most was Formula D. And that one's a racing-themed game, if you're not familiar. I think it can play up to like 12 players or something crazy like that. But it's a dice-based game. So depending upon what gear your car is in, you can only change gears one gear at a time. You roll a different size dice. So in first gear, you have a 4-sided die. And I think it's only got 1s and 2s on it. So you can only move up to 2 spaces in that gear. When you get up to 6th gear, you have a 30-sided die with 30 numbers on it. So you can potentially move 30 spaces. But within that game, when you go around corners, typically you are required to stop a certain number of times within a corner. So if you roll that 30-sided die and overshoot that corner by 15 spaces, your car takes 15 points of damage by missing all those corners. So that damage is typically applied to your brakes or your transmission if you try to downshift multiple gears to slow yourself down. And you can only take, I think, 18 points of damage through the whole board. So you also take damage if you crash into another player's car or stop immediately behind them. And then both of you will roll for damage to see if you take damage.
Yeah, I've seen Formula D. I didn't know quite that much about it, but it's an interesting one.
Tons of boards out there for it too, so you're not stuck always playing the same track. You do have to buy more. I think it comes with 2.
Yeah. No, my favorite, at least up probably before the pandemic, I enjoyed playing Blood Rage is one of my favorites. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I'm not.
It's kind of an area control. It's played with Vikings, and you're playing different Viking clans trying to basically take over the map. And there's 3 phases of it, and at the end of each phase, different areas of the board will disappear. But what's really kind of cool is it's got a drafting mechanic. So at the beginning of each round, you draft the cards for what you're going to play, and you can kind of form your strategy with it. I really enjoy it. I don't get it to the table all that often because, again, my family not the heaviest of board gamers. So
sure.
Their favorite kind of as the pandemic happened, as we'd get together with them, was Mysterium, which you might be familiar with.
That one is great. That's actually one of the ones I got for Christmas that is still in the wrap.
Very good game. My wife got a little sick of it because we played it so often.
I like the artwork on that one. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the artwork is enjoyable. They just like trying to beat it. I end up getting stuck playing the Ghost almost always. So
I've only done the Ghost once, and it was fun, but it's definitely different than being the player.
Yeah, I've only got to be the player once. So I almost always am the Ghost, and it's funny. For as many times as we've played it, my sister-in-law has got it figured out very much when I'm the Ghost. because she has figured out, oh, Howard's going to put together a story as he goes. So she starts sitting there and connecting the dots and like, okay, I see what you're doing here. You know, the person you chose was the baker. Here's a kitchen area. Probably fits, you know. And so she'll kind of follow the connections through, which is then funny because like even though we've played it so many times, and she has expressed, and I've said, you know, that tends to be my strategy. You know, she'll try and convince them. She's like, no, your thing is clearly this. Why that? Well, because you'd had this. Howard always does it in a story. That makes sense. This doesn't. And we played it once with my brother-in-law, and he kept trying to go like he doesn't really enjoy playing games, and so he gets bored out of them pretty quick. But he was giving this one a try, but he kept thinking that everything that I would choose, like he would go, well, it's clearly this because of the absurdist reference here that Howard's. I'm like, who's making absurdist references in this? Yeah, so that's one that we got to table, and then the newest one that we've been playing, and I want to play more of, is Marvel United, which is just a fantastic game. I think Kidder could even enjoy that one.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I've been trying. I bought him a Star Trek board game a couple years ago. He still hasn't got that to the table.
I believe it's still in the wrapper.
Well, since Kidder's still kind of silent, and he didn't add anything to the run sheet.
Correct. I knew that we would have a guest. I didn't want to, you know, have other topics because, damn it, the local geek's presence is important.
Well, see, I thought of topics that I'd love to talk to the local geek about, such as board games, or the next topic I'm going to bring up, which again, Kidder probably won't contribute much to, which is being a dad. Since Derek, yeah, you had your son in December.
Yep.
Howie Jr. came along in March, so we both kind of became fathers pretty early into kind of the pandemic cycle.
Yep.
But I was going to ask you, how are you enjoying fatherhood?
It's actually a blast. I wasn't sure going into it. Like, I was real nervous. Obviously, I don't have any nieces, nephews, anything like that. So he's the only kid I've ever really been super close around. I've got cousins who have them, but they don't live close. So I didn't see them a whole lot as kids, and it's really been a blast.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too, and it very much that same, you know, because there's a commitment level when you have a kid.
Yep.
And I was very much like, am I ready for that? You know, it's.
Yeah, we were that way too. We liked to travel before he came along, and we're like, well, we're not going to really be able to do a whole lot of that for the next few years. And then the pandemic happened, and we couldn't have traveled anyways. So.
Kidder's updating us that the score is 4-2. In case you were wondering what that meant. He wasn't trying to tell us that the answer was 42.
The audience couldn't see it, so I was just giving it for you guys for a quick update.
Yeah.
Now the question is, who's up 4-2?
I'm gonna guess the Wild.
No.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. They just scored on a power play. It's still 6 minutes left in the second, but so continue being a parent of a minion.
Yeah. Well, and Lefty and I, we waited a long time. I mean, we were married 10 years, you know, before we had a kid. And partially that's because we worked in places that didn't give us health care. And her brother was born with a heart defect. And so we really were hesitant about, because we didn't know if that condition was something that could be hereditary. And it's like, hey, I'm a poor teacher in Montana. She's working in the office. last thing we need is crippling medical debt because he's born missing a wall in his heart, you know. So that was part of it, and then fun things with her going to nursing school and such. But yeah, I understand that. Like, am I ready for this? And now it's like, I love having the little guy around, you know.
Yep, for sure. I couldn't imagine not having him around anymore. And we'd been married 12 years before he came along, so it was definitely a lifestyle change, but it's definitely one I wouldn't trade anything for.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's not much of the experience that I sit here and go, ugh, you know. As we were talking a bit before the show, my little guy's been like teething since he was 4 months old, and I'm so ready for that to be done.
Yep, my wife just updated me. He's got 6 that she just counted coming in.
Ooh.
So thankfully, he's been sleeping through the night with the teething this time. The last time he teethed, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. He would wake up and he would not go back to bed in his crib. One of us had to lay on the floor in the living room with him.
Oh, yeah. Our little guy's pretty good. He'll go back to sleep, but yeah, it has not been. Teething has probably been the worst of it. That, and I don't know if you had this phenomenon, but we had this because of the pandemic. We didn't travel anywhere, so our little guy doesn't really like being in the car. You know, he's not quite used to it because we didn't go anywhere. So
we've been pretty lucky. We've been pretty lucky. He rides in the car for the most part pretty well. He does not like to be stopped in the car. So stoplights and things like that upset him. But as long as we're moving, he's usually pretty good. It maybe helps that he's been in daycare pretty much since he was 2 months old. So we drive him over to daycare every day. So he is in the car at least 4 days a week. And then he's gone up and visited her parents a couple of times. And that's a 4.5-hour drive. And he usually gets a little bit upset somewhere along the way, but usually a stop, get out of the car, let him stretch his legs and give him some food, change his diaper, and he's happy again. So,
yeah, no, we didn't have daycare. So yeah, he didn't get to travel much, but yeah, he also doesn't like to stop pretty much at all. So we've gotten very accustomed to one of us always riding in the back with him.
Yep. We do that too. So there is somebody to entertain him if he does start getting fussy. One time, nothing would satisfy him in the car on the way up to visit her parents, and gave him every toy we had in the car and threw them all away. I ended up giving him an empty pop bottle that I took the lid off of, and that was the best thing in the world to him.
You know, it's always funny when they cling to stuff like that. You know, I got in the car tonight because they picked me up, so I didn't have to walk across the Capitol to where my car was at after I dropped off the van. And I hop in there, and my little guy looks at me and then hands me a brochure from one of the houses we looked at. Nice. He's just like, like, we passed on that house, buddy, but
maybe you have to go back and revisit that one if he likes it.
He just likes the fact that he has a book. So,
yes, books are a very big thing in our house too.
Yeah, no, he likes his books and he likes being read to, and he will bring them to you constantly. Yep. So I can't complain about that.
Yeah, I can't complain either. He likes to grab a book, come and sit on my lap, and let me read it to him.
Yeah, well, and to bring this around to music, because you left a comment on one of the YouTube videos. You said that your son was enjoying, what was it?
The Down with the Sickness by Disturbed.
Yes.
If I put that song on, he will run over to me with his arms up like, pick me up, because he wants me to pick him up, and I'll throw him up in the air when David Draymond does the
Yeah, see, and I do that with my little guy, but it's Flip, Flop, and Fly by the Blues Brothers is our throw him in the air song. But he will also do that with Big Block Sing Song. Nice. He will drop everything and come running and find me.
Nice.
If I have that going, which is sometimes great because my father-in-law let him play with the dishwasher when he was kind of a young age. So now anytime we're trying to do dishes, he wants to climb on the dishwasher.
The dishwasher is an obsession also for us. Usually he wants to help load and unload it. He doesn't climb on top of it, but he'll grab plates or forks out of there and it's like, maybe you shouldn't have those.
Yeah, so usually if one of us is doing dishes, the other one will pull up big block on our phone and he'll come sit and watch that for a little bit while the other one gets that done. But it's especially when I play a video off of YouTube, it'll hit that intro and he will throw whatever he's got and he will come and find me wherever I am and go, It's like, okay, I guess we'll sit here.
Nice.
So
yeah, most songs he's just happy to dance on the floor by himself, but this down with the sickness, he comes over and he wants up, and if I don't pick him up, he'll get mad at me. So
yeah, been there. My little guys are a little bit more about that with food, especially bananas. I had some health issues back in January, February, and I was prescribed a banana a day as part of that. And I had one day I'm sitting there eating it. He noticed and gave me just this angry look, and then crawled right on over. It's like, all right, here's your cut. So.
Mine's that way with goldfish crackers. If he even sees the bag, he needs some now. So we usually now we have to grab a handful of them out of the bag, put the bag back in the cupboard, and then give him a few at a time because he will stuff his cheeks like a chipmunk.
Yeah, my guy does that too with food. Although my wife is always like, honey, finish what you have, and I'm just like, he's practicing. One of these days, he's going to be the chubby bunny champion of the world,
right?
So no, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good eater and doesn't have a food that he's obsessed with like that, thankfully. So counting ourselves lucky. But the only thing we found that he doesn't like is reheated mac and cheese.
Really?
That's a no. Yep.
We haven't found a lot that he doesn't like either. One thing we did find when he was not eating solids yet, we were up in my in-laws' hometown, which is a small town of about 1,500 people. So they didn't have a whole lot in their grocery store for baby food. And he was just at that age where he was supposed to be able to start having meats. So we bought a jar of the chicken baby food, pureed stuff. And we opened it up and it smelled like tuna fish. And we tried to give him some of that. And that is the only food he has ever refused to eat after having a bite.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I can't blame him if it smelled like tuna fish. I didn't taste it myself.
Some of that, babe. Yeah, see, and I've had some of the stuff that he's had because like we had bought him one of the like Gerber mac and cheese because he always likes ours when we have it. Like, oh, hey, buddy, you get your own. And he tried one and then he wouldn't touch it again. And it's like, well, it can't be that bad. And I tried it. I'm like, oh gosh, this is terrible. Here, let's get rid of that. Here you go, buddy.
Yeah, some of them aren't bad, but some of them I kind of wonder.
Yeah, some of them are. It's like, oh, yeah. So, well, besides the joy of fatherhood, Kidder, you been watching anything new?
I have been pushing the missus to work through Star Trek Voyager with me. So we made it through the first season. We are going through the second season now. And the reason, of course, is because we are going to the con in August. So we've been watching that. Also, City on a Hill. There's that. And that's a Showtime series. That one just wrapped up for the season. And, of course, that one about like early 90s. Boston. FBI, Chicago, or Boston PD, stuff like that. That's good. It's good stuff. It's good. That's pretty much all I've had a lot of time to watch. And Gold Rush.
Okay. So, Derek, since you haven't been on the show, anything particular that you and the missus are watching these days, or just trying to...
Mostly kids stuff,
I don't,
but
don't even.
I'm sure you're well familiar. We've been going through a lot of Disney Plus Pixar movies. I don't know if you've seen Onward yet. That's a really good one if you're into gaming.
It's not too bad.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
It's kind of like a D&D role-playing type theme on it, if you're into those kinds of games. But otherwise, it's a good movie, even if you're not a gamer.
To me, it was almost like a little bit of WoW mixed in, plus, of course, World of Warcraft for those of you playing the home game, and some wizardry and a variety of other things in the like Netherworld. Is good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. No, we have Disney Plus. The problem has been it's on our Xbox One that's down here in the basement. And up until we were ready to sell the place, the basement really wasn't kid friendly.
Yeah.
So I haven't really got down here to watch a lot. So
Man, he looks angry.
I was
Man,
thinking
he
the same
looks
thing.
angry.
all of these things,
That was a nice freeze
Yeah.
that you had there.
all these things that I
He just continues. He's like,
keep rolling with it. You just keep going.
I'm
Trying.
thirsty. I want to open
Anyway,
the second beer, damn
So
it. Are you done with the first one yet? It's been an hour.
I believe he is, actually.
Holy crap! He finished a beer in less than an hour. Holy crap! Put it on the calendar. 6 weeks from today.
I've actually finished two. Because I finished the first one in
Yeah, that wasn't in the episode. It doesn't count.
30 minutes. Yeah, that is true. We did. Howard the ref did make that ruling that you can't pregame.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Damn dirty bastard. So our purple top. What's this one again?
So that one is a blueberry stout. Mine's gonna get angry with me here. Hold on.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yours is too.
Almost dead. There we go.
I was gonna say, well, you guys are getting those under control. Is there anything I need to know about this before we get started here? Do I need to go get a second glass?
I just poured mine into the same
Is there
glass.
anything else I need to know? I was planning to do so, but I didn't want to get caught off guard for the second time this episode.
It appears we got a lot of head on this one.
Yes, this one does have some head, and you couldn't really see it in your camera there, but it does have a little bit of a purple hue to it from the blueberries. So this one is called the Mini DNA, and I can't take credit for the recipe on this one. This one was actually a recipe that was given to me by Dialectic. When
He's squirting a damn beer all over the place. We haven't won the Stanley Cup yet, damn it. Cut that crap out.
As I mentioned earlier,
Celebrate like you have.
I was a big customer in 2018. So in early 2019, when we found out that we were pregnant and we're talking to them, I asked them if they would be willing to make a beer to release when he was born and let me help them make it in their brew house. So this is the beer that they ended up making, and they gave me the recipe for a small batch of it. So the name of it is Mini DNA, which...
What the hell are you doing? Are you having a shower? Good God, man. Calm down. It's a beer. Yeah!
It's fighting pretty good. We're gonna have to break out the sacrificial hoodie again.
Oh my gosh. He's going nuts over there.
So with my name starting with a D and my wife's name starting with an A, we thought DNA would be a good name for the beer. And then they added the mini to it since it was going to be for the mini version of us. And
Awesome.
when we were talking about it, I suggested doing a stout because
Sorry. That's the fastest I've seen him drink in a year. Oh my god!
At the time,
This is gonna be fun.
at the time they had not yet brewed a stout, and they'd been open about a year, so they figured it was a good time to do a stout because that's one of my favorite styles. And they found out that before we told people the gender or anything like that, we had been calling him Blueberry because that's the size that he was when we told our parents. So they decided to add the blueberries to it as well.
Awesome.
And so what happened when I made this batch myself, I ended up, this was the first one I did on that new system I was telling you about. So I ended up with about 6 gallons instead of 5 gallons.
So a good problem to have.
Essentially, it was a little bit diluted because of that. So it ended up being like 3% alcohol. It was supposed to come in around.
Just put it anywhere. Just put it anywhere. It's fine.
It was supposed to come in around 5, but it came in at 3%. The flavor's just as good as it would have been otherwise. So there are some tricks I could have done to bring that content up to where it was supposed to be, but I decided to just let it ride and chalk it up to learning the new system if it didn't turn out, but it turned out.
So he muted himself so he can't pop back up, and so then we can see the problems that he's got. I see how it is. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. Yep. Oh, thought he was leaving for a second. He's like, I've had enough of this. Oh, now he's listening. Now I can't talk about him anymore. Well, I haven't had a chance to try it yet. I'm still working up to full glass here.
Yep, I finally got mine poured here. I still got quite a bit of head sitting on top of it that I'll have to either sip some foam through or let it settle down a little bit.
The color does look really nice, both of the liquid and of the foam. Mm-hmm. So
like I said, there's a little bit of purple hue to it, but you can't really see it on the camera.
Mm-hmm. And the scent of it is nice as well. It's got a nice aroma.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from blueberries in this, what are some of the other tasting notes?
There's some flaked oats in here, and then some caraway red is one of the grains that's in there. I can't remember off the top of my head the other ones. But the blueberry is going to be just kind of a subtle blueberry flavor. It's definitely there, but it's not in-your-face blueberry. I did, after I finished brewing this, there's about 6 pounds of blueberries that I put into this, so 1 pound per gallon.
6 pounds. Awesome.
But
I like it.
After it was done, I decided I was going to try one of the blueberries just to see what they tasted like after they'd soaked in the beer for a week. And they tasted basically exactly like hops. It was like biting into an IPA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not either. I'm not an IPA guy. I like the dark beers typically. So, but I was like, I want to try these, see what they taste like, and I extracted, I think, all of the flavor out of the blueberries with it.
So he's back, and he's finally sampling it. He licked his arms dry.
How much did you get out of that?
Well, I got everything out of the bottle now, but ended up with a full glass at least.
Okay, so you didn't lose too much.
No. Ended up wearing a good chunk of it. I'm very sticky now. So,
yeah, this one, I've had a few bottles do that to me, and it just happened that all 3 of us got one that did that this time around. So I think I've had 3 of them do it to me out of the 50-some bottles that I had up until this point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to clean my screen after this. I got spray on the screen and on my keyboard. And
hey, sweet. It means that it's time for somebody to sponsor a new computer for Howie Blues. Ladies and gentlemen, he is going through the trouble, the torment, the turmoil to put this show on, to be there and experience this beer just for you. And look what he does. He is sacrificing technology, sacrificing at the hands of these delicious beers just so we can get this product out to you. So please For the low price of $1 a day, you too can sponsor a Howie Blues. Please.
I was going to say, I was hoping you were going to make that a little bit more of a, like, sob story. So I could have backed you up on that.
Well, sob away.
Well, no. See, like, if you would have given, like they do with the, like, for $1, you can save these poor starving kids. I would have had you covered if you would have went that route.
Well, when you go back and edit this, you can, when all those hissing sounds come into play, you can start putting like some static across your screen and make it look like it's really glitching out.
Pretty sure I can find some video effects that'll make it look like your screen's cracked too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's not add too much to my editing time on this, okay?
Future Howard is calling you a baby right now.
No, Future Howard is thanking me for cutting down the amount of work he has to do.
Oh.
Not
so.
that these shows are hard to edit, but yeah. What are you doing, kidder?
I'm wondering what my fur baby located on the ground over here next to me. One of it was a little piece of some thin wire, which I have no idea what it could be from, because as far as I could tell, everything is working. And then number 2, that's where it went. Thanks, Freya. Thank you. She found the cap for the other one, so good kitty. Oh, by the way, I gotta share this, because before I shared this, the new purchase there, number 17 from your Colorado Avalanche, Tyson Jost. So, former Fighting Sioux player right there, representing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But also, as we talked about last week, your Colorado Avalanche, the President's Cup winners for this year. So there's the President's Trophy little pennant. So wanted to share that with you, gentlemen.
You're going to have to find a place to hang that.
I know. I mean, right there is okay for now.
Because say you're gonna start running out of wall.
I have one free wall open at work. I mean, I could. I got some other ones up there. We'll see.
Have your own set of the banners hanging from your ceiling.
I mean, to some degree, I do. From left to right over here.
Yeah, that's not the same. I'm talking about like across the middle of the room.
Well, you go ahead and get me some of those awesome banners, and we got some space right up here. There we go.
You say that like I have money. I just bought a house. I'm broke again.
It's a 30-year project. It's fine. How about while they're working out the details, just tack on a few extra thousand so that we get the correct Fighting Sioux banners and stuff. Just help a brother out, huh?
Yeah, I haven't really talked too much about the negotiations, but oh boy, kidder, is there some fun developments with that?
Good stuff, huh?
Oh, so first they came in and offered us quite a good deal less for our place.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
and this is for your place, not for the new place.
Okay. Right, not for the new place. Yeah, this is trying to sell mine.
Okay.
They've asked us a bunch of questions about the condo association, like who's responsible for this? Where can I park my car? Da, 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 da. It's like it's all in the documents that we've already given you. Mm-hmm. But they did their inspection, and I have a section of drywall that's peeling in my garage. That's not from a water leak. It's just right on a seam, just a bad seam. But they insisted on having a mold test done today. But they're apparently about to get us, like, based off the inspection, here's the things that they want us to fix before we leave our place. And Lefty and I are both kind of like, no, we came down a good chunk in price. No, we're not fixing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because you've already fixed a whole bunch of stuff on the place.
We did. I mean, and it's one of those where it's like bringing it down. But the big thing is they have to wait to get the results from the mold test, which won't be in until Wednesday or Thursday, and they have until Thursday before they've hit their 10-day contingency window. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I hope it works out.
Yeah, kind of do, kind of don't. We'll see. Here's a funny one though. You'll get a kick out of this. If Lefty and I weren't moving, one of the places down the road from us was up for sale. I know the new owner of it. You know the new owner of it.
The place down the road. So like on the street itself or in your cluster?
It's on the street itself.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I know the new owner. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you do too.
Okay. It's not Derek, I'm guessing, because he's in his basement.
Yeah, I have not purchased a new house, although we would like to get a little bit bigger one.
No. No, if Lefty and I didn't move, my new neighbor down the way would be none other than my actual brother.
Oh. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Good for
He's
him.
finally moving out of my parents' place, so it's good. It's good.
Well, yeah, it's good for him. Get his place rolling again, and I'm happy for him. It's good.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I ran into my dad coming home from work, and he waved me down in the street, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, your brother just bought this place. I'm checking it out." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great."
Might have wanted to check it out before, maybe.
So, well, it's all right, My dad gets very opinionated about a lot of things, so we're kind of glad that we've kind of got our place sold and new place bought, and it wasn't a year-long fiasco like when we bought this place. So, because boy, buying during the oil boom, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a good investment.
It should be, this should be our last move for hopefully a long time. So, but yeah, it's amazing. You get a kid, and all of a sudden you realize just how small your house actually is.
Yep, that's why we're thinking we'd like to upgrade too.
Yeah. Well, that right now is a great seller's market. So I'll say that, but not a great buyer's market, but great seller's market. So
I'm really enjoying this beer, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. I will hope to never ever have to move again. Yeah, that the Brothers Blue Moving Company. Well, we are still good at doing what we do. Absolutely despise moving my own stuff. I'll move other people's stuff, box it up, let's go, grab the couch, out to the truck, let's go. My own stuff? No. Done.
So,
actually just made this weekend, like today, tomorrow, or 6 weeks from now.
I like today, tomorrow.
I am taking a quick trip out of town for half the day tomorrow. And it's not just
Good,
to get
how
away
about-
from moving.
Yeah.
I will have to defer to my scheduler. Let's see.
I see.
Google, come up with something so I don't have to do something and break my ass. I'm still. Oh, the Avalanche plays Sunday night at 7:00. So
So what I'm hearing is we start at 6 a.m. and we have a good 12 hours so we can get work done.
6 a.m. Work. What is this? Work, because I haven't heard any like benefits of this moving process. Things like, I don't know, alcohol.
I got a whole fridge full of experimental beer upstairs.
No, that's for this show. That's for you and this show. Don't pawn your crap off on me. I got a couple others upstairs that I could probably go find, and we can do that for this show. No, this is not that crappy beer that your brother picked up like 10 years ago in the 50 pack or whatever the crap it was, and it was some lake water runoff.
Lake pond.
Just, it should have been left in the lake or found a lake and made one. Just pour that crap out. It was just terrible.
That was some pretty bad beer. So, Derek, if you've never tried Lake Pond, don't.
I do have a related beer, probably a cousin or something though, that my dad bought to do beer butt chicken with. But he bought like a 12 or a 24 pack, whatever it came in, because it was the cheapest beer in the liquor store, and it was called Lost Lake, and it was not good either. I mean, the chicken turned out fine, but but to drink the beer by itself.
I think that might actually be it. It maybe wasn't Lake Pond. Maybe it was Lost Lake. That sounds familiar.
I just know that I regretted opening the can because
you would think that we would remember this thing, like don't ever do this again. But
we were also, I don't know, like 12 beers in at that point. So it didn't, I mean, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but we still knew better.
12 beers in? When did we start drinking?
I'm pretty sure it was your bachelor party.
I think I was done drinking by then.
Yeah, I wasn't. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I wish I had been when that came up.
Yeah, no, I think I'd finished by then because I had drank so much Guinness that it felt like I had a full loaf of bread in my stomach. So
I'd
switched over to water, and I was pretty much sober by the time, because my parents drove you and Dinosaur home, and
yep.
and I was sober because I was the one giving directions. So,
and we also did a light to dark there as well down the menu, if you remember that.
I don't know if I participated in that. I think I learned my lesson about light to dark.
Oh, maybe it was just your brother and me then.
It was probably he was in rare form that night. So
some good drinking songs and good drinking sayings and good drinks. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. It was a good time.
Let's go back in time.
It was
and
a lot of.
again.
I was gonna say it was a lot of beer, blues, and BS. So yeah, it's a good time.
It was more Irish blues that night.
Well, yes, because we were at the Blarney Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I remember that because the next day was the wedding, and he was hungover, and I was fine. Got up, did chores because that's what you do when you're at my parents' house. Chores. I'm probably the only.
We just finished all of that a day or two or three before that because I was driving the skid steer.
No, it was stuff like moving hoses to water trees is what I was doing.
Because we all know the hose need to transport the water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
I'm trying to decide where I stand on this blueberry beer. That's
your brother watered the bushes too that day.
Yeah, he was in fine form during that wedding.
He was in a world of hurt in the morning. I think then he was fine afterward.
Yeah.
I will say the blueberry is more prominent on this version than it is on the one that they did at Dialectic.
I like the extra taste of the blueberry. I like having. I mean, I love blueberry, so.
Well, it was a good pick to bring to you then.
Yeah. So thanks for brewing it. What do you mean? What is it?
Listen, I'm not to offend our guest and when we brewed it.
He looks offended.
I don't know. I like the other one better. I'm going to say it. Choice between the two, I would choose the other one over this one. But it's not bad. It's just
that's fair. And different people like different styles, and
no, that's it. I'm going to finish drinking this and still enjoy it. I'm just I was trying to give a rating since I didn't give one earlier. I was too busy trying to clean it up as it was shooting all over my desk and floor. And
I thought that was the half hour where you were still trying to drink the first beer. Oh, is this not the time for cheap shots? Do we already pass that?
Yeah, you just been firing them off, kidder. Gosh,
well,
you'd think I was from Indiana or something.
Yeah, I know. At least he's able to take that kind of punishment.
Yeah. I was going to say, episode 8 drops tomorrow night, so be the first time he gets to hear
those of you watching this episode, now you can figure out where we are in the timeline of the whole universe, because the time continuum, is just kind of rolling along here and there. Skipped an episode record time, so we're getting closer to being live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for Derek's knowledge, this will be episode 12, which is actually a milestone episode because on average, most podcasts do not make it past episode 11. So that's and Kidder and I have talked about that, not on here, but the amount of work I think that people put into producing a show, and then it takes a while to grow that audience. I think a lot of people kind of hit a point where they're like, for the amount of effort this is, and nobody's really listening, okay, I'm done. So
yeah, a lot of people don't really have any clue on how like television production or podcast production and everything that goes into it, the time, the effort, and then just like you were saying nobody is watching this, so why am I doing this? Well, yes, stick to it, and we're doing it for this is why we're doing it. So I don't give a crap. We're having fun.
That's really what it's about.
It really is. I was talking to a coworker of mine he's been listening to a couple of the more recent episodes, and I told him, I'm glad to hear that he's listening. I don't care if he listens to every episode. We're just having fun doing it. So, and he's been having fun listening to it. So,
thanks for listening.
Yeah, good to hear that you are enjoying what we are putting out there, as we try and make it as best we can.
Yeah, like I said, I've been listening on YouTube, so I get the video with it. And like I said, one of my favorite parts is the banter you guys have with one another, and being able to watch you react to one another is part of that. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's what happens when, as I said, we've been together coming up on 19 years this fall. So there's been a lot of banter.
Yeah. Yeah, we've bantered across the country, up, down, left, right. Here we are, still bringing it to you. It's good stuff. I'm glad we're in agreement of that. And thanks, Derek, for being there. I want to call you our first greatest fan, but I don't have the statistics for it. So I just want to. You're a super fan.
I'll take it.
Super fan. So thanks for sharing. Thanks for bringing us through that. We're gonna have to figure out when you're doing a batch, because then we'll carve out time. I mean, I will absolutely carve out time to come over there. And I don't know how we can record it, but I don't care. Record it on our phone or something. We'll just the lost episode in Derek's basement. You know?
Actually, it'll be my backyard for the actual brewing process.
Ah, all right.
I use a propane burner with that 15-gallon kettle. So
sweet. So you're really lighting it up.
Yep.
Do your neighbors ever complain about the bonfire you have rolling in your backyard?
So far, they haven't.
You just pay them off with beer after it's done, don't you?
If they need it, yeah.
Okay, if they need it.
Yep.
Fair enough. That works.
Well, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while.
As it's been lately, just because we have all kinds of BS to talk about. And I mean, we had 2 beers that we had to drink tonight, so I'm surprised that we're going to wrap it up now, because you'll probably still be drinking about 2 hours from now. Sipping away.
Listen, I past half.
I think you're about the same spot I am there.
Wow. Bunch of rookies. Man, maybe I need to go to a meeting. I don't know. Wait, this is our meeting. It's a weekly meeting of beer, blues, and BS, and damn it, we have fun here. So we want you to have fun with us. So how about this? Cheap plugs. Let's talk cheap plugs. You can check us out on Podbean. That's really the hub for finding out everywhere we actually are, because you can watch us on YouTube and listen to us on YouTube, but then we're also on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon Podcasts. We are on Pandora, the SiriusXM podcasts portion of their app. We're also there's a couple other ones like I think Last FM. I mean, there's so many different services that we're on. So we would love for you to listen to us. Take us with you in the car, at work, when you're working out. We will pump you up, get you going. You know what I mean? Apparently, it's the banter that really gets you fired up. I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I'll have to remember where I heard that. But like us on Facebook. You could join the show. I really, really want to have some feedback. Like, yes, I know that it's interesting, but what should we drink? Give us some suggestions. Hell, buy us a beer. Go to our website, beerbluesbs.com. You can find us online pretty much anywhere that you want. There's no excuses. Just get on there, help us, help you be entertained. And I mean, if you want to sponsor us, you could shoot us an email or something like that too. Plus, how about this? Let's talk about the old weather, severe weather season. right here, the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now channel, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's available for you to check out, especially if you're right here in central North Dakota. Then you can check your forecast out whenever it's convenient for you through Twitch, twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. And you can find that link on our Facebook page as well. So, for our good friend, the local geek, Derek, thanks again for joining us, my friend. Appreciate you being on and sharing the good beverages.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And for Howard the Ref, even though he was hiding the ref shirt last week and didn't actually pull out his referee powers and condone himself for his own shenanigans. Yeah, you know what you did. We'll find out more next time right here. Beer, Blues, and BS. It's been good riding with you. Thank you for joining us. And hey, free beer tomorrow. Catch you on down the road.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
I was wondering why they were showing something else that wasn't hockey for a second, and then they came back to the arena. I have no idea. But right now the Knights are up 4-2 over the Wild with 11 minutes left in the third. Derek, you follow hockey at all?
Not super closely.
If you had a team in the NHL, what team would you probably pick?
Clearly, the Avs.
Absolutely. What a great fan of this show. Quality programming here on Beer, Blues, and BS. I'm glad that we can connect with our fans like that and have an impact in their life. To that extent, I am truly honored. Thank you. What? Don't look at me like that.
Nothing.
Cut that crap out. I know where you live. Both places.
Now.
Both places. I know where you live. I have your address, and damn it, I have GPS.